The next game that we have to talk about, we have the New Orleans Saints going on the road to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are going into this game as a 3.5-point favorite. This game is going to kick off 1 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. Now, last week, the Saints came, they saw, and they conquered. They destroyed Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers 38-3. And the Carolina Panthers defeated the New York Jets 19-14. Now, we kind of have a battle of narratives. Okay, you kind of have people coming into this game, and you got Panthers fans asking, okay, are the Saints really that good, or did the Packers just struggle? And of course, a lot of Panthers fans are going to take the other option. They're going to say, the Packers just really weren't all that good. They kind of had week 1 rust. And if you are a Panthers fan who has that assumption, I will agree with it. I really do feel like the Packers were kind of off rhythm, and they were trying to settle in, and they suffered from week 1 rust, not taking anything away from the New Orleans Saints, because my guy, Jameis Winston, balled out and he played really well. Also, the Saints have some injury concerns to some key starters. So Marcus Davenport, don't know what's going to happen with him. A lot of people don't think that he's going to be able to play in this game. You also have Marshawn Lattimore. We don't really know his status when it comes to being able to play in this game. Center Eric McCoy for the Saints. Don't really know if he's going to be able to go in this game. So you have 3 big injuries. Now, when you look at the Marshawn Lattimore injury, okay, he had something happen to his thumb, I believe. So if he plays, he'll probably be playing with a big cast over it. But if he doesn't play, I think that's going to be a huge loss, because the secondary for New Orleans, at least when it came to corner, was a big issue. And I know a lot of Saints fans are going to be like, well, JT, our secondary played well. The whole entire defense played well last week against Aaron Rodgers. And I do understand that. But at the same time, you do have to take into context that this is week 1. Everybody's a little bit rusty. You have some teams who are still trying to get back into football shape. So if you play Green Bay again, are you going to tell me that you would beat Green Bay by the dominating fashion that you did if you were to play them again later on in the season? I don't really think so. You probably may still win the game, but it wouldn't be, as one-sided as what the week 1 matchup was. So you have to take into context that week 1, everybody's still trying to get back into the rhythm of things. Everybody's still trying to get back into football form. So I think the Eric McCoy injury is really interesting, because New Orleans has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. But when you look at Derrick Brown, I definitely feel like he could be a big key factor in this game, depending on what goes on with Eric McCoy, if he can play or if he isn't good to play in this game. So keep an eye out for that. Now, Jameis Winston balled out last week. And that simply wasn't no one-off occasion. And yes, we are really biased when it comes to Jameis Winston on here, because I am a Jameis Winston fan. Now, Jameis Winston isn't going to come out and throw for 5 touchdowns every single week, but you really did see a new and improved Jameis Winston. There were a lot of opportunities when Jameis Winston had chances to force the ball and have, the similar characteristics that he had back in Tampa, but instead he opted to throw the ball out of bounds, or he either checked it down. So when you look at Carolina, I think it's really interesting to see the wide receivers of New Orleans versus the Carolina Panthers secondary, especially when it comes to their cornerback matches, because I'm still not all that completely sold on the Saints wide receivers. And this is going to be the game that they come out and they show me, okay, JT, you should have confidence in us. I do like Jawan Johnson. I do like a couple of wide receivers that they have, Callaway there, but I still need to see more, because Green Bay secondary, at least when it comes to corner, is still kind of Achilles heel that they had last year, which is why they ended up drafting Eric Stokes early in the first round of this past year's NFL draft. So I'm really interested in seeing the matchup between the wide receivers of the Saints and the corners of Carolina. Now, we just can't gush over Jameis Winston's performance. Sam Darnold also had a really good performance last week against the New York Jets. Now, he didn't put up the stat line that Jameis Winston had, but he also did perform pretty well. But we also have to acknowledge that he was going against an inferior team. The New York Jets are not as good as the football team as the New Orleans Saints are. But I do feel like Sam Darnold could have a really good game, because first of all, You have a Saints secondary that a lot of people still don't have a lot of confidence in. So this is going to be a good opportunity for the New Orleans Saints secondary to come in and prove everybody wrong, especially if Marshawn Lattimore can't go. So you have Sam Darnold, who has a really great group of wide receivers. You have Robbie Anderson, who's the big play threat, who can take the top off the defense over the top. You have DJ Moore. You also have Christian McCaffrey. You also have rookie Terrence Marshall. So there are a lot of weapons at the disposal of Sam Darnold. Now, I don't know what the hell happened with Aaron Rodgers last week, but hopefully Sam Darnold can have a better performance against this defense than what Aaron Rodgers had, because I'm just not going to come out on a limb and say that the New Orleans Saints defense is the best defense in the NFL. Okay, I do think there was some ring rust there from the Packers and Aaron Rodgers on their part. So I don't think this Saints defense is as good as what they were last week. They may be a really good unit, don't get me wrong, but I'm not expecting this defense to play as well this week as what they did last week. On top of that, you do have to look at the fact that we don't know what's going to happen with Marcus Davenport. We don't know what's going to happen with Marshawn Lattimore. We don't know their status. Quan Alexander also was listed on the injury report. So the Saints currently right now, we don't know the status of several key starters going into this game. So if you're a Panthers fan, you definitely should be confident in how your passing attack looks against the New Orleans Saints secondary. Now, you do have guys like Desmond Trufant. You did trade for Robbie something. I know I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name right now, but they traded for another cornerback named Robbie. His name's going to come to me a little bit later. I'm going to come back to it. But you still do have rookie Paulson Audible. So, I mean, this Saints secondary still has a lot to prove when it comes to their cornerback position. And I think that this is going to be a good test for the New Orleans Saints going against a really solid passing attack, at least when it comes to a talent standpoint. And I do think Sam Darnold could have a really good game. Now, I've been seeing a lot of Carolina Panthers fans really happy about the performance that their defensive line had and their whole entire defense had when it came to getting 6 sacks on Zach Wilson. Now, you do have to take into context that the Jets don't really have a great offensive line. On top of that, you were playing a rookie quarterback, so sometimes he tried to do a little bit too much with the football instead of getting away with it. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to replicate that 6-sack performance against the New Orleans Saints, but I do feel like they could have some pressure up the middle, because with the injury to Eric McCoy, that is really big. And even though the Saints off the line is really good, okay, outside the center, like they're stacked at guard, tackle spots, the center position is something that's really important, because if you have a good center, you most of the time have a really good offensive line. And the reason for that is because the center is kind of like the quarterback of the offensive line. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of directs people what to go, what's going on, and things like that. He's like the captain of the offensive line. So it's going to be really interesting when it comes down to the communication of the offensive line for the New Orleans Saints if we don't see Eric McCoy suit up in this game. So the Carolina Panthers pass rush could have an impact in that department. But I also feel like not enough people are talking about, the concerns that Carolina Panthers have when it comes to their offensive line, okay? Because even without Eric McCoy, the Saints still have a top 10 offensive line. Meanwhile, for the Carolina Panthers, their offensive line was a huge question mark that a lot of Panthers fans had going into this year. So that offensive line played against the New York Jets. And New York Jets don't really have any dynamic pass rushers there outside of Quentin Williams. So I think that the Saints pass rush could have a little bit of an impact. Even though they could be without Marcus Davenport, I still feel like this pass rush for New Orleans could pose to be a problem for Carolina. But another thing is going to be, okay, how are the Carolina Panthers going to fare on third down? Because last week, even though they won, they were 4 of 14 on third down. And when you think about Joe Brady, Joe Brady is somebody who has pretty efficient offenses, and they normally should be pretty good on third down. So they were 4 of 14 last week against the New York Jets. Meanwhile, you have a Saints defense that was phenomenal getting Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense off the field on third down. That defense only allowed the Green Bay Packers to get 1 third down conversion out of 10 attempts. So that's really phenomenal. So when I look at that, I think that's going to be really key, because if Carolina can't be better this week on third down compared to what they were last week, I think that could definitely be something that could pose to have a lot of problems. So the team that I'm going to take to win this game, I'm rolling with the New Orleans Saints. Now, I was really close to taking Carolina to win the game. And even though the Saints do have some significant injuries, I feel like New Orleans is built for a shootout. And I'm going all in on my guy, Jameis Winston. My guy, Jameis Winston, has not let me down. I made a lot of money with my guy, Jameis Winston, over the last couple of years. And every time I pick Jameis Winston, he doesn't let me down. Now, I know that's not a good, analysis of why I'm picking New Orleans to win the game. I know you guys probably want something better than that. But I really feel like when you look at New Orleans, okay, you look at the fact that you have Sean Payton as offensive coordinator. This offense is better with Jameis Winston at the helm at QB than what it was with Drew Brees, because you are now able to stretch the field vertically. And even though I do have concerns about the wide receivers, if this offensive line can hold up even without Eric McCoy, that's going to give Jameis Winston more time to sit back and throw the football. It's going to give his wide receivers more time to get open. But also, Jameis Winston does have the mobility to be able to pick up a couple of yards if need be, like we saw last week. And when you look at the offensive line for Carolina, I'm still not really sold. I still really feel like the Saints could come in and get the upper hand on the offensive line for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm taking the Saints to win this game. I think this game is going to be a shootout. I think New Orleans pulls it off. 38-27 is my final score prediction in this game. I'm taking New Orleans.